Joseph School, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends. Thank you for this opportunity to address you today. The respect I have for St. Joseph and the sum total of its results, which by that I mean you, its alumni, and the students. The respect I have for St. Joseph knows no bounds. I'm honored to address the 55th anniversary of the founding of our school. I had the privilege of attending St. Joseph. It is here that I learned what Ralph Waldo Emerson meant when he said, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." It was at St. Joseph that I developed character, acquired my basic moral compass, and contemplated the numberless dimensions of God. To the students who are here today, it is not only the excellent education and intellectual curiosity that has been instilled in you at St. Joseph's that will serve you well into your future. It is these values and core beliefs that will help you hold fast to your dreams, your integrity, your knowledge of what is just. It is these values that will sustain you in the face of challenges and give you courage to conquer your fears. Being here makes me feel both young and old. As I passed by St. Joseph today, I was flooded with memories of my youth and the time I spent there. I especially remembered the month of September when the school year began. When our class of 74 went to school here, there used to be 2 large soccer fields, and the uncut grass from the preceding rainy season was tall enough to hide under. We ran and we frolicked in the grass. We were filled with hope of what the new year would bring. We buried ourselves in the moment of a textured sun that was at once soft and warm, decidedly kind. The soccer fields are now gone, and alas, global warming has hardened the sun. But just for a moment, the excitement of those years washed over me again. I was once a child, and then a teenager. As I now look upon your faces in this hall, I see the spectrum of our lives that spanned the past 5.5 decades. A spectrum filled with light from a band of what I'd like to call proud warriors who've made their mark, and in big or small ways, who played their part in the change the world needed to see. Though some of our brethren have passed, all our lights abide no less than the lights of those distant stars that illuminate our big Ethiopian skies. This small school, like the children's story, the little engine that could, would not quit. It trained us and prepared us to meet the challenges of our times. We learned the meaning of character here at St. Joseph. We learned the value of conducting ourselves by using a moral yardstick. And we were given a strong education such that when we went abroad to study, we had the foundation we needed to compete and indeed to excel. The school drilled what we needed to know for each grade, however long it took us to get it. And this little school that could has consistently boasted 100% graduation rate, whose alumni have gone on to enroll in the top universities across the globe. Many of the students of this little school that could have gone on to careers that have made them a part of the 1% of the elite in our planet. St. Joseph is a school that took the raw material of our childhood and shaped it into confident young adults ready to meet any challenge anywhere in the world. Above all, this is a school that kept faith with its standard of academic and moral excellence under the most brutal periods of our nation's history. So let me actually push the restart button and begin our conversation with a big round of applause to St. Joseph's School, its faculty of teachers and educators. Let us thank every teacher who taught and shaped young men of character for these 5.5 decades consistently. And let us pray, we want to praise you and we want to thank you for all that you have done for us. There are so many traits that I learned at St. Joseph which served as the foundation of my own life. It was here that the seeds were planted for my intellectual growth. Brother James, I remember, who was a boxer, drilled us like a professional trainer on the need to read. We had color-coded SRS cards that he made sure we mastered. Brother Michael taught us how to diagram a sentence, igniting in me at least the love for the sentence. But perhaps the greatest lesson I learned here was that anything was possible, achievable. Here the spirit of invention was ignited, that pioneering spirit that surpasses being just educated, and that spirit that transports a child into a land of discovery and imagination. I also learned that doing things for others was the best way to do the same thing for yourself. By bringing joy to others, they taught us at St. Joe, we find our joy. The foundation that I received here at St. Joseph shaped me into becoming the person that I am today. Since I left Addis, I studied law, history, international politics, and instead of becoming a practicing attorney in a traditional sense, I specialized in communication satellites, law, and launched the world's first satellite radio service. This system evolved in the United States into the XM satellite radio and gave millions of people access to information and entertainment. My work took me to nearly 80 countries where I saw many faces of humanity, from the poorest, most vulnerable among us to the most powerful and elite. I've been privileged to work with some incredible people, such as Nelson Mandela, with whom I built a school near Soweto that is similar to St. Joseph's in that it goes from primary to secondary school and has over 1,000 students. I have met several presidents. I have met several presidents of the United States and other countries, dallied with celebrities from different industries. I've been blessed to cross the paths of thousands of people and to be exposed to places and cultures that I never dreamed possible or even imaginable. But I learned the courage to be, the courage to act on my dreams here at St. Joseph. So I pay homage to the place where it all began, where a group of dedicated educators accepted the sacred trust that my parents gave them of my care and equipped me to build a breathtaking enterprise that is today boldly positioned to deliver information affluence to places that suffer from information dearth. I can tell you that life is not always roses for the warriors of St. Joseph. In my case, for example, I saw the company I built go into bankruptcy during the 2008 global financial crisis. For a while, I was on my knees, despondent. It was then that I had to turn to that inner strength, that moral character to sustain me. There is a saying that I once heard that says, "You never know God is enough until He is all that you have." I picked up the pieces, bought my satellites back, re-engineered the business to create today the world's first satellite tablet that can deliver educational material without the need for the internet or electricity. As we like to say in Amharic, courage and smoke always find a way out. That was in Amharic, by the way. The lesson there for each of us is no matter how high you rise, there will be times in life when you fall. And when you fail and need every 1 ounce of courage to get up, what do you do? It is my hope that when those failures occur, you will draw upon what we learn. And remember that as long as you live and breathe, you can deal with any challenge presented to you, no matter how formidable, as long as you have faith. I tell you my story in part to convey what St. Joseph did for me. But I also want to encourage our alumni to write their own stories so that one day we can publish a book or maybe create a website. This book or website will be about the graduates of the school, and it will serve as a source of networking and inspiration for students in the future, a sort of our own LinkedIn. Indeed, the alumni of St. Joseph have done many great things. On October 14, 2014, a great soul, a friend and a brother, a fellow entrepreneur, joined a list of distinguished St. Joseph alumni who have passed on to that territory from where no traveler seems to return. Dosho Shifarrao was too young to complete his duties and to move on. But boy, did he complete his duties. One of his inventions, the Bowflex exercise machine, is today part of most homes or professional gyms. And his invention has generated actually billions of dollars and is used by millions of people as part of their daily routine of exercise. Dosho did that while he was still in college. But among the litany of Dosho's achievements, the one that stands out the most for me personally is how one day he decided and then actually went out and planted, get this, 60,000 trees in Ethiopia. Just imagine one man doing all that. Dosho is an alumni of St. Joseph, and he would tell you he lived a great life, tempered by a greatness of character, guided by a solid moral compass, driven by a sense of purpose. Dosho is easily a giant among giants. But Dosho would also be the first to attest that the foundation for his amazing life was what he learned at our little school that could. There is no need, and there is no end to what graduates of St. Joseph have contributed to Ethiopia, to Africa, to the world, in many professions. And I'm sure that the best contributions have yet to come. Our expectations from each of you, class of 2015 and beyond, is very high. To those of you who are presently attending St. Joseph's School and are here, you should be so proud to be here, meeting the high academic standards being set for you. Your education is presenting you with a big boost for your future. I would like to talk very briefly and solely to you, the highly promising young people who are students at St. Joseph. I know, having been where you are, that it is not easy. But I also know that no matter what your sojourn here was or is like, you have and are benefiting greatly from this time. Some of you are feeling very proud of your accomplishments, with high expectations and big dreams. Others have limited expectations based on knowing that you could have done better or you can do better if you apply yourself just a little more. And a few of you may have low expectations for what your future will hold, predicated on your past. But no matter what group you are in presently, this is a new beginning that is in store for you. For those who excelled and are excelling, you must continue to strive. For those of you who are just getting by, it's time to apply yourselves. Just know that wherever you are, there is still time for you to rise to the top from where you find yourself today. Today I challenge each and every one of you to dream big, big dreams, and to groom yourselves and to step out into whatever place in this world you deem to be, with the knowledge that between you and God, you can accomplish anything. Will you fail sometimes? Yes. Will you have adversity? Yes. Will you sometimes be frightened? Yes. Will you sometimes be alone? Yes. Will others doubt your ability? Even some members of your family? Absolutely. But do you ever lose sight of those dreams? Do you ever give them up? No, never. If you remember nothing else from what I have shared with you today, remember this: you must listen to your own inner voice and not those of the crowd. Do not judge your own success or failure through the eyes of others, nor should you base your self-worth on what others perceive you to be or not to be. In order to achieve greatness, you must sometimes face standing and being alone. There is a German poet, Rainer Maria Rilke, and he put it thusly: again and again in history, some special people in the crowd wake up. They have no ground in the crowd, and they emerge according to much broader laws. They carry strange customs with them. They demand room for bold actions. The future speaks ruthlessly to them. They save the world. So you can be one of these people. Think about who at the end of the day wears the mantle of greatness. Not that many people. There are some individuals who are great for their contribution to a sport, or to the music industry, or who are famous in one realm or another, and that is one type of greatness. But I'm talking about a different level of greatness. The Gandhi, the Martin Luther King, the Mother Teresa, the Nelson Mandela, Wangari Maathai, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Pope Francis, that kind of greatness. Will any of you in this audience be among them? That is what you could aspire to be. Those are the people you could emulate. The interesting thing is that there are many great people amongst us today, and were amongst us yesterday, who made and who are making monumental contributions, who are not recognized. People such as the brothers in our school who serve this institution. People who may be in your own families or communities. People such as the healthcare workers who are fighting Ebola in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. people who are trying to bring relief in war-stricken countries such as Syria and Iraq, and people who are fighting for justice for those who have no voice. This is a time for you to join the ranks of the great, to fly, to show everyone who you are and what you're about. This is a time for you also to be cognizant of what's going on in the world and for you to determine what your role will be in making it better. How are you going to be of service? How are those dreams of yours going to benefit others outside of you? Will you use your intellect, talent, and energy in any sector you choose, be it science, medicine, technology, law, parenting, and academia, to benefit others? I will tell you, being all you can be ultimately is easier than living with the knowledge of what you could have been. Ladies and gentlemen, the world as we know it is no longer safe or predictable. We hear about terrorist groups such as Boko Haram and ISIS. We wake up seeing images of Syria or Iraq. Those places are no longer so far away, nor are those images of people who are poor and hungry. We are reminded of all of the threats to our well-being every single day. But despite all of what we may fear, what remains constant today, tomorrow, and the day after is who we are and what we are made of. What also remains constant is what we have, and that, my friends, is the human family in all its great splendor, white and black, in so many hues in between, thousands of cultures, thousands of languages, all waiting to be discovered, to be impacted by you. The overarching theme that I want to discuss with the alumni today is the importance of foundations. The foundation this institution was built upon, how the foundation provided by St. Joseph helped us succeed, and the type of foundation each of us must build for the future. It's hard to imagine that any school can maintain the academic standards, the ratings, and the prestige that St. Joseph's School has for over half a century. But this Catholic institution, this educational institution, has done what other schools have not. And it has to do with those individuals who were the founders and who continue to run the school. Who but the De La Salle Christian Brothers can ensure that literally 100% of St. Joseph's students actually graduate from year to year? And how do you explain the numbers that go on to study in leading universities around the world? This school is still rated highly. The reason St. Joseph's excelled in the 20th century, however, is that it met the demands of the 20th century by ensuring that the curriculum and the facilities met what the students needed to go to university, to take their place in the workforce, in their communities, in their country, in their continent, in the international community. They had the right kinds of tools for the right kind of time. In order for St. Joseph's to be in the top 1% of schools in the 21st century, will require not only the same academic standards and first-rate instruction, it will require the assistance of every single individual who benefited from what he gained from being here. That is you and me. It will have to keep abreast of innovation in science and technology, while maintaining its superiority in other fields of instruction. St. Joseph's will have to expand significantly. Classrooms will have to be added so class sizes can be reduced. Biology and chemistry laboratories will have to be upgraded and built. State-of-the-art computers and tablets will have to be provided. And new books for a new curriculum will have to be purchased. Charting the course for the future requires vision, which the school, I understand, now has, which is known as a St. Joseph 2020 vision. Charting the course requires this vision, but it also requires capital and commitment. The time for these changes is now. The time for this money is now. The time for the commitment is now, not tomorrow. Those of you who in this audience graduated from St. Joseph's, like me, have been given an advantage in life that 99% of the people in this world have not received. While in St. Joseph, I paid my dues, including some significant time I served in detention, but that's another story. We not only have an obligation to use what we have been given to benefit humankind, we have to make sure that we contribute significantly to St. Joseph to ensure that the education we received will be received by others in perpetuity. We will all die eventually. Of that, I think by now we should be assured. But what this school has done for us must continue for others. When St. Joseph's first began, only the children of very wealthy people could attend. But that was not the vision of the brothers who started the school, and that is not the vision of its alumni. We want the tuition to be affordable so that those young men who seek education and have a hunger, a real desire to learn, to excel, to achieve, can receive the same privilege we had. That will not happen unless we keep the door open to them. If we join together, that door will remain open. And in doing so, countless of miracles will occur for those who, but for our efforts, would have been shut out. This, dear members of St. Joseph's Alumni, is the ultimate test of our education. To quote Thomas Huxley, perhaps the most valuable result of all education is the ability to make yourself do the thing you have to do when it ought to get done, whether you like it or not. It is the first lesson that ought to be learned, and however early a man's training begins, it is probably the last lesson that he learns thoroughly. For many of us, this is the last lesson we must learn, and this is to do the right thing now. That right thing is to give in full measure as we were given, according to our abilities, but in full measure as we were given. The call to come home must reverberate globally so that every single person who attended St. Joseph's assumes the responsibility of looking and reaching back so that other young men have the same privilege. We're planning our global network now, but our obligation to make a donation begins immediately. This is our homecoming, our time to rise to the occasion. So let us begin by opening our minds and our hearts and our checkbooks. My brothers and sisters, I conclude by wishing you all to have a grand life, starting immediately with a Happy New Year. Thank you so much.